So today we're talking Sony PlayStation boss Jim Ryan and his incredibly confident, if not bold, PlayStation 5 ambitions and what is perceived as a slight jab at Microsoft and its assault in its attempt to eat into Sony console market share by buying and throwing money at multiple studios, which I would have thought would be the thing to do when competing in the exclusive content space. Now, I tweeted a few times back in 2020 that Microsoft were going full 360, as in Xbox 360's initial strategy for its Xbox Series line, meaning huge investments in exclusive Xbox game content. Initially, I wasn't particularly interested in covering this news item, though quite a few of you have asked my opinion on the subject, and I've noticed a few of the mainstream outlets have picked up on this story too. So WCCFtech.com has reported the PlayStation 5 has been an unqualified success in terms of sales, but there's been some, shall we say, spirited debate about the system's early software lineup. Is Sony delivering enough big games fast enough? Should big games like Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo 7 be really cross-gen? And everyone's got an opinion, of course, but in a new interview with Axios' Stephen Totillo, PlayStation studio boss Jim Ryan seemed confident Sony were delivering a better early lineup on PS5 than they did on PS4. Here's a quote from PlayStation president Jim Ryan. Yes, the output during the PS4 cycle was excellent, but the great majority of those games came in the second half of that cycle. We made a conscious effort to improve on this. That this time around, that what you've seen so far shows that we've certainly made progress. In just a few months since the launch of PS5, we've released incredible games and have such more in the pipeline. And developers are really just getting started, taking advantage of the technology in PS5. I can't wait to see what PlayStation Studios and our third-party partners create for PS5. If games like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Returnal and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart are examples of what you can experience in the first 6 months of PS5, imagine what we will see in year 2 or 3. Now here's the part of the interview that has seemingly ruffled a few feathers. Jim Ryan goes on to say, nurturing creative talent is not as simple as throwing money at it. You also must give them the freedom to be creative, to take risks and come up with new ideas. Just look at the Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch. That was not the game we thought they were going to make, but we are not overly rigid or corporate with our talent. We want them to use our hardware as their creative palette. And that's where the article ends. So the key takeaway here is Jim Ryan is saying year 2 and 3 of PS5 will pretty much blow PS5's launch titles out of the water, and that the key to success is not to throw a ton of money at studios and hope for the best. It takes time, talent and creative freedom to nurture a first-party studio as opposed to outright acquiring them in big money deals, I would imagine. So that's where people say that Sony took a slight jab at Microsoft. So I guess I should turn this back on you. Does buying studios, entire publishers even, in the likes of Bethesda, and throwing money at those studios to create high quality products really pay off? Or will Game Pass allow for consistently high quality products? Or is it just a case of throwing mud at the wall to see what sticks? Share your thoughts in the comments. In other news, more bold talk from Sony, this time regarding PS5 install projections, in other words, sales. Source via GameInfotus.com. Interesting name that. Anyway, Sony is aiming to hit just under 23 million PS5 sales in just 1 year, which if Sony pulls this off, it'll break even PlayStation 1 sales records. Now, Sony CEO has announced its ambitious plans for massive sales for the PS5. Due to the high demand, the company is confident in selling more than 22.6 million PS5 units. In a shareholders meeting, the CEO outlined their sales target for the PS5. Sony has only been able to achieve 22.6 million unit sales in a year with the PlayStation 1 during financial year 1998. It was followed by the PS2 at 20 million during financial year 2002, while the PS4 achieved a record sales of 20 million in financial year 2016. Now, in the article, it goes on to state Sony is seeing unprecedented demand for PS5, making the console gaming giant confident in its sales target for PS5, which is projected to hit more than 22.6 million sales in a fiscal year. The company hopes to achieve this target in fiscal year 2022. Now, being the business calendar, fiscal year 2022 ends March 31st, 2023. Now, PlayStation 5 is one of Sony's fastest selling consoles, no doubt, currently outpacing even sales of its legacy hardware, PS4. And Sony is hoping that with the demand that they have for PS5, it should be able to achieve 45 million sales in approximately 2.5 years. Now, that would be incredible. Okay, so yes, very bold, lofty projections by Sony there. However, I can see a potential issue, and perhaps Sony has already factored this in, but availability is at an all-time low right now. Sony, as have many other platform holders, have had severe supply constraints. I'm not going to go into the details as to why this is, but semiconductor shortages and the pandemic didn't help. So Sony must be incredibly confident, seemingly galvanized into getting as many PS5 units into consumers' homes. Meanwhile, Microsoft are attempting, as I say, to eat into PlayStation market share with gaming subscription service Game Pass and its Play Anywhere initiative. It's certainly a valiant effort on Microsoft's part, and I suppose the best we can hope for is Xbox meaningfully competing against Sony, not just on the quantity of products, but on the quality of those products. Now ask yourself, say, self, should I be happy with 3 or 4, or maybe more, AAA super high production quality titles a year to go with those slightly lower budget titles, or would I be happy with 6 or more great to middling AAA products per year? And it can be quite the stark contrast when trying to feed a monthly service new and enticing content. Just look at the slew of junk in services such as Prime Video and Netflix. Sure, there are some blockbuster movie and TV content in there, but it's in the minority still. You have to give it to Microsoft because Game Pass is certainly making waves and has caused many to question whether a game is even worth full price anymore. Though as the content war rages on, consoles are still selling, and that is the important part. The appetite of gamers is certainly healthy, as is the games industry in general. Currently, estimated figures place Microsoft's Xbox Series consoles at over 5 million units worldwide, with Sony PS5 at over 8 million units, which is remarkable for both platform holders considering supply constraints. PlayStation, moving 8.6 million PS5 units, has generated $3.8 billion for Sony, with Xbox Series X and S combined having sold 5.1 million units, generating approximately $2 billion for Microsoft. Imagine if there was no shortage on these devices. Something Sony has intimated it is seeking to address by changing its manufacturing from the current 7nm chip process used in PS5 to perhaps 6nm, where presumably demand is lower in the electronic device space. Interesting, to say the least. Though what say you? Go ahead, sound off, share your thoughts and opinions on today's news, because that unfortunately brings us to the end of the video, but let's continue the discussion cordially in the video comments. And for all your gaming news, rumour and plausible speculation, yes, hit the like button, of course subscribe, hit the notification bell and help us reach more gamers. Please feel free to share the video. Consider supporting Foxy Games UK via Patreon. You'll find a link in the video's description. Thank you for the extra support. That concludes our time together on this Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, play games, not corporations.